Before time ticked its first second and before light even dared to shine, there was only chaos, and from that formless abyss, Amatsu Mikaboshi was born. Not as a god or a demon, but as something far worse, a force of nothingness, a being who was the void and ruled it as the Chaos King. While other cosmic entities dreamt of creation, Mikaboshi hated it. The birth of stars sounded like blasphemy, the formation of life was an insult, and so, when the gods of ancient pantheons began carving order into the universe, Chaos King declared war on existence itself. He was the antithesis of being, not evil for the sake of conquest, but driven by a divine purpose, to return all of reality back to what it was before, nothing. Banished for eons by Earth's gods, he was imprisoned in the underworld where he waited, watched, and planned. Over the centuries, the Chaos King grew in power, whispering into the hearts of demons, assembling an army of horrors twisted from the raw energies of destruction. Then came the Chaos War. Mikaboshi broke his chains and rose, not merely to challenge gods, but to erase them. One by one, pantheons across the multiverse fell. The Skrull gods, the Zenlavians, and the Shinto deities were all consumed. He enslaved even the Olympians, bending Zeus and his kin like playthings. Powerful cosmic forces stood against him. Thor, the Silver Surfer, Galactus, Hercules, even these titans united could barely delay him. Galactus himself was no match for Chaos. Reality itself had begun to tremble as Mikaboshi devoured gods like snacks. The whole situation was cosmic extinction. His dark sorcery defied imagination. He marched corpses of fallen gods like puppets, used the bodies of the dead as gateways for his armies, and could twist reality to birth endless demonic clones of himself. His power grew until he absorbed eternity, the embodiment of the universe itself. Becoming the living void had replaced the universe. He didn't just destroy the universe, he became what came after it. Even trickster entities like the Impossible Man were effortlessly erased. Nightmare, the demon lord of dreams, was consumed like a candle in a hurricane. What made Chaos King even more terrifying was his divine purpose. But he's not dead, so the moment the gods forget to keep watch, he will return, and next time there would be no gods left to stop him. You know Adam Warlock, right? The gold-skinned red cape guy who showed up in the MCU looking like a golden retriever with laser eyes? What if I told you he has a twisted, terrifying, overpowered evil twin? We're talking about Magus, and he is one of Marvel's wildest villains. Magus isn't your average guy with a tragic backstory or a grudge. He's literally a piece of Adam Warlock's soul. See, Warlock once wielded the freaking Eternity Gauntlet. But Warlock, being all philosophical and weirdly zen, wanted to wield that much power without being corrupted. So what did he do? He tried to remove good and evil from himself, because you know, that always goes well. Instead, he ended up accidentally creating two full-on living beings, one pure good and one pure evil. So Magus is like Warlock's evil side turned up to 11 and dipped in nightmare. Visually, he's terrifying with a gigantic stature, hair like a lightning bolt, and glowing eyes. And don't let the looks fool you. He's smart, manipulative, and basically obsessed with becoming a cosmic god. He's got all of Warlock's powers, plus this kind of megalomaniacal drive that makes villains like Kang and Doctor Doom look like toddlers. In some timelines, Warlock himself eventually becomes Magus, so not only is Magus his evil twin, he also is his future self. At one point, Magus starts a galaxy death cult called the Universal Church of Truth, because obviously the evil doppelganger of a space messiah starts a space religion. This thing isn't just a bunch of weirdos in robes chanting on a rock somewhere. We're talking armadas, brainwashing, interstellar conquest. It's all very cosmic horror meets space opera. And Magus isn't content with just beating Warlock. He wants to rewrite the entire universe in his image. He's tried multiple times, and each time it's taken an entire crew of Marvel's most powerful cosmic characters, the Infinity Watch, Thanos, sometimes even Galactus-level threats to stop him. Even though the MCU's version of the Infinity Gauntlet saga is over, Warlock's arrival means we could see Magus appear next. And if that happens, expect reality to get weird. Plus, Marvel loves the whole hero versus Dark Mirror thing, just like Hulk versus Red Hulk, Spider-Man versus Venom, or Moon Knight versus Moon Knight. With Warlock and Magus, you might get that and a giant helping of cosmic chaos. Some villains want to conquer the world, others crave vengeance, power, or prestige. As for Annihilus, he wants everything to die. Every star, every planet, every pocket of existence across the multiverse. If it breathes, shines, or pulses with life, he wants it gone, because he's afraid. Born in the hostile radioactive furnace known as the Negative Zone, Annihilus is what happens when pure survival instinct evolves into genocidal paranoia. Think of it like a giant armored winged insect with delusions of godhood and the firepower to back it up. His prized possession is part ultimate weapon, part life support system, and part security blanket. When Reed Richards and the Fantastic Four blundered into the Negative Zone, they meet Annihilus at the height of his paranoia. The insectoid tyrant ruled over a swarm of insectoid minions who obeyed him with terrifying loyalty due to a strict style of management. Annihilus immediately tried to murder the team, especially after discovering they wanted the cosmic control rod. Richards only needed it temporarily to save Sue Storm's pregnancy from a mysterious cosmic illness, but Annihilus didn't care. Sharing was not on the menu, and even though the Fantastic Four eventually returned the rod, the damage was done. That one little meeting with 4 humans opened Annihilus' eyes to an awful truth. There are more universes out there, and that means more threats to his immortality. Naturally, the next logical step was a full-scale genocide across all existence. Annihilus doesn't mess around. Years later, he launched his first catastrophic plan yet, the Annihilation Wave, a cosmic swarm of destruction straight from the negative zone. This horde wasn't just for show. On its first day alone, it wiped out millions of beings and completely obliterated the Nova Corps, Marvel's intergalactic space force. Imagine someone destroying the Green Lanterns on a Tuesday morning before breakfast. Annihilus marched at the front of his armada, tearing through galactic empires like tissue paper. It took the combined power of Nova, Drax the Destroyer, Silver Surfer, Star-Lord, and even Galactus himself just to stop him. That's right, Galactus, the guy who eats planets like appetizers, had to get involved. Things got so out of hand, Nova ended the war with a move straight out of Mortal Kombat, ripping Annihilus' spine out of his mouth. Of course, this being Marvel, Annihilus didn't stay dead. He's been reborn, reincarnated, and resurrected so many times he's practically a cosmic cockroach. Each return comes with upgrades, bigger armies, better weapons, even the quantum bands at one point, which cranked his power to near Thor levels. Still, what makes Annihilus a nightmare is his obsession. Immortality is his addiction. The moment he believes anything might outlive or overpower him, his default reaction is kill it, burn everything, erase the universe. And if the rest of existence has to burn for that, so be it. This is one of Marvel's most underrated, overdramatic, fashion-forward supervillains, Mr. Sinister. If you've never heard of him, imagine if Dracula, David Bowie, and a mad scientist had a baby, and then that baby became obsessed with cloning mutants, manipulating timelines, and ruining the X-Men's lives for literal centuries. That's Sinister, and trust us, he lives up to the name. First off, Sinister worked under Darwin's rival. Decided evolution wasn't happening fast enough, so naturally he made a deal with the cosmic mutant god, got a total makeover, and became immortal, unkillable, and 100% extra. He isn't out here robbing banks or blowing up cities. He's in a whole different league. His superpower is playing 4D chess with DNA. He's obsessed with studying, modifying, and combining mutant genes like he's building his own ultimate Pokemon team. He's the reason Cyclops has like 3 evil alternative kids, and why Jean can't get through a week without running into someone who looks suspiciously like her. His lab is a bio-horror funhouse filled with mutant embryos, genetic experiments, and enough creepy tubes to make even the Hulk uncomfortable. And he names his clones things like Sinister Prime and Chimera Class Omega. You don't just fight Mr. Sinister, you survive him, then spend months wondering what he was actually planning, because the guy plays the long game. He's not just evil, he's performative about it. He'll stab you in the back, explain why it was inevitable, and then give a speech about the superiority of his DNA, and maybe clone you just for fun. In the new Krakoan era of X-Men comics, Sinister somehow conned his way onto the Quiet Council, which is basically the mutant version of the United Nations. The dude sits at the table with Magneto, Xavier, and Apocalypse, and somehow out-schemes them. He now has an entire database of mutant DNA, his own secret clone farm, and a habit of wearing diamond-studded capes. He's not out to blow up planets or kill the X-Men, but he wants to own them, control them, and shape the entire future of evolution in his image. With this villain, the X-Men will never know peace again, and honestly, neither will we, but at least it'll look fabulous. Among the gods of Asgard and the cosmic heavyweights of the Marvel Universe, there exists a being so filled with fury, so consumed by hatred, that its very existence is a walking apocalypse. This is Mangog. He is rage, pure unfiltered, and it's pointed directly at the gods. Mangog wasn't born on some far-off planet or created in a lab. He's the hatred of a billion lives, an entire alien race annihilated by Odin and the Asgardians in a long-forgotten war. And from the ashes of that genocide came Mangog, a physical manifestation of their collective wrath. Imagine the pain of billions, condensed into one unstoppable monster. The creature was so powerful, so furious, that Odin himself had to seal it away deep beneath Asgard, chained in darkness, far from the realms of men and gods. But hate doesn't stay buried forever. When Mangog finally broke free, he didn't just seek revenge, he wanted judgment and the extinction of every god in existence. Once unleashed, Mangog didn't waste time. He stormed through the 9 realms like a natural disaster, toppling mountains, tearing cities apart, and swatting aside gods like flies. Giants, warriors, even entire armies couldn't stop him. And Thor, the mighty god of thunder, was humiliated in their first clash. His hammer strikes were like pebbles. Mangog caught lightning bolts in his hand, crushed them, and spat the storm back into Thor's face. Even after Asgard's defenders brought down a mountain to bury him, Mangog clawed his way free. But here's where it gets deeper. The gods weren't just victims, they were the cause. Odin had created Mangog as both punishment and prison, an atonement to his own sins. To defeat the beast, Odin had to reverse his spell, resurrecting the ancient race he once slaughtered. That act broke Mangog apart and the gods were spared, for a time, but you can't erase hatred so easily, it always comes back. Years later, when Odin's son was deemed unworthy of Mjolnir, a new Thor rose. Jane Foster, a mortal woman dying of cancer, lifted the hammer and took up the mantle. As she protected the realms, a new storm was brewing. Mangog had returned. More violent than ever, Mangog declared war on the gods again, and with Thor Odinson unworthy, the defense of Asgard fell to Jane alone. Despite her weakening body, she refused to back down. Her transformation into Thor was killing her, but she chose to sacrifice herself to stop Mangog. In a final thunderous act, she chained the monster to Mjolnir and hurled both into the heart of the sun. In the end, Jane died a hero, and Mangog died screaming. But if he ever returns again, the gods should start praying. You ever wonder what would happen if Willy Wonka went full psycho and decided to turn his chocolate factory into a murder maze? This is exactly what makes Arcade Marvel's most twisted game designer. He popped up in the late 70s rocking a bow tie and the creepiest look in this side of Gotham. And while he's not the kind of villain who punches holes through planets, he is the guy who turns your worst nightmare into a theme park attraction. Nobody really knows where this guy came from. Some say he was a spoiled rich kid, others think he used to be a hitman. One theory is that he just snapped one day and decided murder should be entertaining. The only consistent thing about him is that he lives for most of the deadly games. Arcade's claim to fame is Murder World, with a high-tech, candy-colored hellscape where everything is rigged to kill you in the most ironic way possible. Roller coasters with buzzsaws, robotic clowns with flamethrowers, carnival rides where you lose your head, literally. At first, Murder World was just a twisted playground for tormenting classic heroes like Spider-Man and the X-Men. And sure, most of them escaped with a few bruises and a sarcastic one-liner, but then, things took a very dark turn. Inspired by the Hunger Games, Arcade rebooted his whole operation in Avengers Arena, a brutal storyline where he kidnaps 16 teenage superheroes, Academy X kids, and other Marvel rookies, and forces them into a battle royale. No exits, no timeouts, only one survivor. This wasn't cartoon villain stuff anymore, it was psychological horror, and it worked. For once, the heroes weren't laughing their way out. People died, and Arcade was loving every second of it. In Avengers Arena, Arcade gets access to tech so advanced he becomes practically omnipotent within Murder World. Now, we're talking God mode. On paper, he might not be in the same league as Loki or Magneto, but don't sleep on Arcade. He's the kind of villain who doesn't want to rule the world, he just wants to watch it play. And that makes him unpredictable, terrifying, and kind of perfect for the future MCU twist.